Engelhard silver bars. Are you guys stacking them? Let's get to the video.
Well, it's cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time, because you'll never get closer than now.
Hey guys, Patriotic Stack here, and we're back with another video once again. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about the godfather of all silver bullion, and that is Engelhard. Engelhard is by far the most popular vintage silver you can buy or collect. Engelhard happens to be my favorite silver to stack. I love Engelhard silver bars, especially 10 ounces, the 20 ounces that are very few. They didn't make too many 20 ounces. And kilo Engelhard bars are especially my favorite. You know, I do like 5 ounces and 1 ounces too, but usually I go towards the 10 ounces or the higher denominations like the kilos, 20 ounces and stuff like that. Now, Engelhard has been a company for over 100 years. They started in Newark, New Jersey, which is actually not far from me, about an hour away from me, in 1902. And they unfortunately sold the company to a German chemical company in 2006. So unfortunately, they no longer make silver. They haven't made any silver or any gold in the last 20 years. Engelhard is also credited to be one of the first companies to make Cadillac converters, and they are also a Fortune 500 company, and they made a lot of stuff for dental companies, medical fields, especially silver caps and gold caps and stuff for people's teeth. You know, Engelhard is just was pretty much ruled the world during the 20th century when it came to a company. They were just a huge company, and they did very well, especially with their silver and gold. Now, Engelhard, again, they made such a huge variety of different sizes, different types of bars. Now, for example, this one here, this one was made in Canada. Anytime you come across an Engelhard bar with a bull logo, they call it the bull logo, they were made in Canada. They're all Engelhard, but they had a factory or a mint out in Canada. There's also rarer ones that were made in England. And then you have these here that were made in Jersey. And then if you have a W in front of it, like the W waffle backs, they were made in the West. So like California, out in the West Coast. But these ones here, you can see here, these ones were made in Jersey, most likely. But you see these here. These are called the 10th Series P waffle backs. These ones right here, there's a mintage of about 50,000. So think of it, you know, these came out probably around late 70s, early mid 80s. And in the 1980, when there was a huge silver crisis, when they were melting tons and tons of silver, we don't even really know if there's actually 50,000 of these left. I guarantee you some of them are melted, because you got to think back in 1980, these weren't vintage bars. These were, just regular common bars like today are Scottsdale or Germanium Mint bars, right? Then, this one here, this one was, I already said it was made in Canada, but this one, especially the bull logos, are a little harder to come by, especially in the States. This one here, there was only a mintage of 7,500. So that one's obviously more sought after. But right now, it's a good time if you're buying Engelhard or any type of vintage silver in that matter, because the premiums now are low across the board, especially at coin shops and coin shows. A lot of these small-time dealers are just trying to offload their silver because they're, obviously paying a bigger price for, silver. They can't afford to really sit on it. So a lot of these coin shops and coin shows, these dealers, they just want to let this stuff go. As soon as they get it, they want to sell it. They don't want to sit on it. So all the Engelhard you see here are Engelhard that I bought within the last month, I'd say from the end of October to now, middle of November. And all of this stuff I bought no more than $3 over spot. For example, and about 2 years ago, 2 to 2.5 years ago, this exact Engelhard Bull logo 10-ounce bar right here would have cost about $500 when silver was $25 an ounce. There was a higher premium on this, and obviously, more people could afford to sit on this and wait for the right buyer. Well, just recently, silver's at $50 an ounce, so spot price, this 10-ounce bar would probably be about $500 to $510. I paid about $3 over spot, and I ended up spending $540. That's what I would have paid for this 2 years ago when silver was half the price it is today. So, it's a great time to buy vintage silver bars because there's really no premium on it. These here I spent about $2 over. Now, these are a little more common than that one there, but still a great price. And then this one here, I picked up at a coin shop. I also spent $2 over on this. And you're probably wondering, you spent $2 over on this, but you spent, why? That's rarer. Why did I spend $2 over on this? Well, because it's in original packaging, and it's a toner, so that's pretty cool. And also, the cool thing about this is that I bought it at a coin shop. And where do you hear Engelhard's for $2 over? So that was still a good deal. He was asking $2 over on his 10-ounce bars. But yeah, this is one of the most common Engelhard bars. So like when you come across the pressed Engelhard bars, like the you have the Big E logo, they call it. This is a 1 ounce, and then you have the Eagle logo, and then you have the horizontal Engelhard logos. They call them the C bars. These here are the most common of the Engelhard bars. But still, I think any Engelhard's better than no Engelhard. But yeah, I mean, whenever you're purchasing Engelhard, there's a site that I use a lot. It's called allengelhard.com. And it pretty much tells you every bar they made, every denomination, every type, not denomination, every size, every type, every size. And once in a while, you'll see a new bar pop up too that no one knew about. And maybe there was only 1 or 2 ever minted, so they'll pop it, it'll pop up on the site, which is really cool. But so like for example, this bar, you'll go to allengelhard.com. If you see this at a coin shop, you would go to the definitive page, look up 10-ounce Engelhard, and then you would scroll down to match the bar to yours, right? And then you would go off the serial numbers, and then you'll find out if your bar is, obviously legit, and the mintage, and when it was made, and where it was made. So that's a cool site to have, and I recommend if you're buying Engelhard bars, definitely go through that site. And another cool thing about Engelhard is that they've made silver for other mints. For example, Engelhard did their own take on the Silvertown bars, and then there's also a few other mints that they've done silver for. It's kind of like the old school Scottsdale, right? Because Scottsdale also makes silver for other mints and also other governments. I would call government coins. For example, I think Scottsdale makes the what's it called? I think it's Trinidad or something like that. But they make the government coins for a few governments, a few island countries. They also make silver bars for other companies like Patriot, and then they also did First Majestic. I think they did their First Majestic bars for. They've also did bars for like Academy. There was a few other mints that Scottsdale did silver for. So it's kind of like what Engelhard did back in the day. But yeah, I mean, Engelhard is by far, my favorite silver to stack, especially if I can get it at a good price, and by far the most popular of all vintage silver. Engelhard's just by far the godfather of all silver bullion, I think. And the only thing I would say to watch out for is that I'm hearing a lot of stuff now that the Engelhard is there's companies that are replicating Engelhard bars. Like I see on APMEX, they replicated the 3-ounce bar where they only made so many of those. It was very low mintage. They're replicating the prospector rounds, which are very common. It's also one of the most common thing you can buy from Engelhard. And they're replicating a lot of old school 10-ounce bars and a lot of popular Engelhard stuff. So I would just be careful when you go to make a purchase. Make sure you go on allengelhard.com, match up your serial number, match up the bar, And you could tell, you know, when a bar is original or when it's an old original bar. Not saying the replicas are fake. They're not fake. I mean, it's real silver, but it's not an original Engelhard bar. So, you know, before you know it, these new Engelhard replicas are going to be flooding in the market, just like when Silvertown reamped their old, you know, bars. They started replicating their old bars. That flooded the market. It's confusing a lot of stackers if they actually have a vintage Silvertown or a new Silvertown. And there's a few other companies like Asahi, when they bought the Johnson Matthey name, they started putting out new Johnson Matthey kilo bars and stuff, and 10-ounce bars, and also flooding in the vintage market of Johnson Matthey. So you just got to be careful. But I recommend using the allengelhart.site.com. I'll pin it in my description so you guys know what I'm talking about. And again, you know, Engelhard by far is my favorite silver, and it's a good time to buy vintage silver because there's practically no premiums on it. I mean, there's a few bars, certain bars, where they're obviously going to have a premium, especially if you get into the mintages where they only made 10 or 50 of them. But on Engelhard bars like this, you can get a really good price. And you know, just shop around, check out the coin shops, check out coin shows, go on eBay. You'll get some nice Engelhard bars. But yeah, by far, Engelhard is the best mint in the world, in my opinion. I love it, and I'll stack this stuff for many more years to come. All right, guys, I'm losing my voice, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and catch you guys on the next one. And make sure you stack that Engelhard. Peace.